Hello and welcome to Geoscope on Hughes of the World. I'm Graham Hughes and this is the world. Well, it's not really the whole world. It's just our spare room. But what it could be is what's happening in the world if you want it to be. Now, our friend Ollie Bowlerhatman is on his way. Apparently, he's stuck in traffic, which is the least fun thing to be stuck in. I think. That and tar, quicksand. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to run through the headlines today before Ollie gets here. But before then, I'm going to say hello to Graham Haller, who's saying, "Evening all. Have you seen ICE are arresting nuns on the way home now?" Yeah, this happened in Texas. A nun who was walking home she was walking to the church actually, and she was dressed as a nun. And they arrested her, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Ollie's here now. Good. I'm just going to stick this in my ear so I can hear Ollie's dulcet tones. Are you there? Ollie? Can you hear me?
I am here.
You are here. I am here, and you are there, and we are all together. Hello, Ollie. How you doing, mate?
I am all right. Right.
Did you hear about the nun who got arrested on the way to the
No.
church?
Do tell me more.
Tell
me more about this.
By ICE. So this is a Roman Catholic nun in South Texas. Sister Leticia Ugboaja. She was walking to church and she was arrested. She's been released now, apparently. But yeah, she was arrested by ICE on the suspicion that she shouldn't be there. Anyway, I was just saying hello to people. So who else have we got in the chat? We've got Diz and we've got Richard, we've got Saz, we've got Sarah, we've got Daniela. Got Svax in there as well. So if you'd like to join our friends in the friendly chat, be friendly and hit the subscribe button. Wait for 1 minute and don't be a troll. What happens to trolls, Ollie?
They get the boot.
Muted and booted. That's right. Yeah.
Get the paddle.
bring out the big boot. The big boot. So, Ollie, we've got a load of stories tonight. We've got Russia. Strikes killing 10 people across the Dnipro, Zaporizhia and Kharkiv. Zelensky says Russia keeps missing its own deadlines to capture eastern and southern Ukraine. He's like mocking them. Ukraine's attacks on Russian oil infrastructure are pushing Russian oil prices to pass
through the roof.
Rubles.
They've had to announce a state of emergency in Crimea.
Yeah.
Because the supply situation in Crimea is just non-existent at this point.
So So the Strait of Hormuz has become the Schrodinger's Strait because it's
again
open and closed at the same time. Hundreds of thousands of Lebanese people have returned home, but huge areas of Lebanon remain really badly damaged from what the IDF have done there. And Netanyahu said that Israel's not going to leave until Hezbollah disarms, which, There's big anti-migrant protests spreading across parts of South Africa. And meanwhile, in Kenya, there was protests and the police opened fire and they killed at least one person. There is more problems in Sudan, obviously, with the rebel forces just killing willy-nilly. They seem to be massing in a place called Al-Obeid. And Africa's CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, are really desperately requesting funding to fight against Ebola, the Ebola outbreak in DRC. Venezuela, earthquake. Peru's presidential election, we'll talk about that. China's factory activity has returned to growth for the first time in a while. New Delhi is offering cash to scrap old internal combustion engine cars and replace them with electric, which is cool and sexy. And France has reported hundreds of excess deaths from the heat wave that we had in last week. And more than 1 million migrants have applied to regularize, is that a word? Their status in Spain. So we'll start off let's talk about Ukraine. So it's all kicking off. Apparently, there's been a massive queue, something like 20 kilometers long of traffic trying to cross over that bridge, what they built between Ukraine and Russia. So tell us a bit
Well,
more about
this is
this.
it. They're talking about this being like a full-on evacuation, um, of Crimea.
But it's Russia,
Um,
so it's not called an evacuation. It's called like a
yeah, it's called
special moving operation or
special
something.
moving operation. They can't use the Kerch Bridge because that is heavily damaged now at this point. Um, so they're having to rely on this on the ferries, but that's completely overcrowded as well. So they're having to use
All right.
the highway, which has now become completely
I thought
overcrowded
The
as well.
Kursk bridge, they sort of left that alone so people had a way of getting out. But all the other bridges going over to the Crimean Peninsula from the areas that Russia has taken in the south of, well, the southeast of the country, they've fucked them up. But I believe they've fucked them up in such a way that you can still walk across them. You just can't take a vehicle.
Yeah, they've been trying to set up like pontoons to try and get around it, but then they've even been striking those. So um, they are like deliberately now like funneling them into their kill box. I think we talked about this last time. They've set up a massive um, just sort of pure aerial denial operation of just like, all right, anything that moves that is Russian, we are just going to strike it. We are going to strike all the infrastructure that we can. We are going to strike ammo. We are going to strike fuel. We are going to stop supplies. Anything that is moving in this area, it ain't moving for much longer. It's been nicknamed the Highway of Death now by the Russians because even they are like in some parts they're refusing to do that, which is highly interesting. But I don't know if we talked about this before. If we might have some time ago, but Russian logistics at the moment is actually not carried out by like the Russian army. It's carried out by a civilian organizer, like an organization
All right.
that is sort of semi-adjacent to the army, but because Russia isn't technically at war, the Russian army like hasn't taken over the full logistics of this. So they are stuck with a civilian organization that is riddled with like Russian mafia and black market salespeople who, well, we'll just say, well, it fell off the back of the truck, whoopsie daisy, or it was blown up by the Ukrainians and it will just disappear. So that's been a significant problem for a very, very long time for them. And now we've got to the point where like the civilians are just going, wait, we're not doing the delivery. Um, it's just too risky to do. This has now basically created a situation in Crimea specifically where they have almost next to no supplies. There is no gas in Crimea at all, apparently. Or if there is, it's like being sort of kept in strategic reserves for any like Russian military, units that are there. So there's nothing for civilians there. Food is apparently becoming increasingly difficult to come by as well. All kinds of like necessities in that area are now very, very quickly drying up. So this is why you are seeing people like skedaddling to get out of there as quickly as possible because they do not want to be stuck once things start to get even worse on that end. And it's yeah, I don't think we expected to be in this situation. I don't think well, who knows? I may be wrong. Ukraine isn't about to like storm through the Russian lines and take back Crimea, but the situation that they've got Crimea in now just goes to show you like how weak the Russians are to be able to stop this type of attack to a point where last week we saw them strike Moscow and the air refine and like the oil refineries. In fact, we've all seen the meme of the of the disc, the UFO over Moscow. We've all seen that meme. What people don't realize that was actually caused by Russia's own anti-air
Yes.
rocket that they
It
launched.
missed the drone, didn't it?
Yeah, it missed the drone.
And then blew up their own fucking
yeah,
shit.
and blew that up. Because here's the thing:
fucking idiots.
This is the thing. Like people aren't asking why didn't the Ukrainians strike that? Why haven't they been striking that? They're not striking that yet. What they're doing is they're striking specific parts of these oil refineries because of sanctions. This has been going on for some time. Whenever they strike these oil refineries, especially if they strike a point where it's like very technical,
Yeah.
or like technical components or anything like that, Russia can't get a hold of these components because of sanctions. So they are at that point crippling
Yeah.
like these refineries.
Yeah.
So it's even more effective to do that than just strike like reserves or
Yeah.
anything like that, because that's what they are going for, and it's completely crippling this. And you've seen Russian gas prices. I'm trying to remember what they said the equivalent to was today. I think it's something like €3,
Yeah.
or something like that at the moment. What would be like the equivalent if you were like buying, petrol in Europe? So that's quite expensive for a tank of gas.
Yeah.
On that one, the prices are skyrocketing. They're not showing any signs of stopping at the moment. So yeah, I think there's a lot now of talk about how the Russian like civilian population are starting to actually feel the costs
Yeah.
of this war. So that might have a lot of effects. I think there was also this talk as well last week. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, of a potential what was it? Like potential mutiny. I don't
Oh,
know if
nice.
people saw this. There's a potential mutiny
Oh,
being
there was
talked about by Russian
yeah,
soldiers.
there was a soldier who did a thing saying you got to help us out and this is all your
Yeah,
fault, and
yeah.
it got
So
to like 17 million views. It was all in Russian as well, so that's quite a
yeah,
lot. I mean, the Russian speak well, but I mean, I don't know. We got all excited when Prigozhin decided he was going to march on Moscow, and you know how that ended, don't you? Oh, by the way, you're in infected now. Thank you very much for the £2 super chat. He says Russia can cry me a river. Sorry, I'll get my coat. Beautiful stuff. Thank you,
yeah.
Yuri, and thank you for the first super chat of the evening. Four more, and we will have confetti. We'll give. Should we give? If we get confetti, should we give Phil Morehouse a call and be like, Phil, guess what? And he'd be like, what? We got confetti, Phil. And he'd be like, okay. Oh, joy of joys. Anyway, I was just thinking about that rocket that just went up and came back down again and blew up their own fucking refinery.
That's not unusual though. This has been this has been a feature that's happened throughout this war on Russia's side. Like they've done this and they've hit their own stuff.
Imagine if they do decide to launch a nuke. It's gonna just go up and then come back down again.
I know there was a thing, and I think it was like shortly after the war, and it was a Russian like fighter jet taking off, and the Russian air defense system activated just as it taken off and shot it down.
Oh no! Well, listen, we have to be realistic here though, because although 100 rubles per liter sounds like a lot, it's actually only about £1 a liter. It's not much. It's not like a lot. For us, it wouldn't be a lot, but for the GDP per capita of Russia is famously low. Oh, thank you. Cheers, darling. Catherine just handed me a half-drunk can of Coke that I left in the other room. Sayed, this is yours. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, but considering the hardship that people are going through, because this was always the plan, wasn't it, for Putin? This was always going to be a hands-off war. They weren't going to have conscription. They weren't going to be bogged down. It was just going to be a 3-day special military operation. And here they are in the 5th year of conflict, and they're losing ground. Crimea is, I mean, I don't think that Ukraine have the ability to retake Crimea, but like as a a D-Day type thing where they all arrive on the shores and march and run towards the guns. But I think it'll get to a point where Russia might just abandon it. Just go, oh, fuck this. It's too much like a headache. Too much like hard work.
I think that's the whole point of this, to just to make people realize like you cannot hold like all this territory. It's just physically impossible.
Yeah, because people don't want you there.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like the amount of like just troops
Mm.
that they've got there, because this is the other thing you've got to think about currently, because remember, this is technically not a war. The whole military operation is technically under civilian control.
Yeah.
It's under civilian oversight. So if you sign up and then you die in this war, your family gets like I think it's like 100,000 ruble payout or something like that. So if you tally all that up with like the casualties, which again which again are suspected to be like, quite a lot,
Yeah.
you know, um, that's costing, of course, Russia a heck of a lot of money. If Putin does go, um, this is a full-on war, that stops.
Yeah.
What are people then going to think about that? How is like the Russian people going to react to, actually, um, actually being recruited, considering it hasn't, shall we say, gone down well in the past.
Yeah.
Um, on this, it's a whole load of we don't know what the consequences are going to be, but it does feel like we are really edging. I know I've said this before, but it does feel like we are really edging closer to some sort of end game scenario
Yeah. Yeah.
for this conflict. But it's just how this is, of course, going to you know uh play out. How is ultimately this conflict going to end? Oh, the other thing to talk about is Lukashenko
Oh,
has
in
abandoned Russia.
Belarus. So this is the leader
Hmm.
of Belarus. He's been in charge. He's the last dictatorship of Europe, because I don't really regard Russia as being in Europe anymore. I think they've forfeited that honor. And yeah, he's told Putin to piss off. This started with they wanted to set up some was it jamming equipment? Oh no, they wanted to fire off drones, didn't they? They wanted to
Yeah,
fire
they
off
wanted to fire up
drones.
drones and they wanted to use their like communication towers
Yeah,
as
yeah. And Ukraine gave them 5 days to say fuck off, and within 3 days they went, okay, fuck off
yeah.
to Russia. And yeah, but Vladimir Putin is he's lost all his friends, so that he's gone. Al Assad of Syria's gone.
Yeah.
Maduro of Venezuela's gone. Cuba, I mean, Fidel Castro is sorry, Raul Castro is still alive, but he's not in charge anymore, and he's only just alive. He's like 96 years old, for Christ's sake. He's running out. He's running out of what are they called?
Yeah, it's running out of
Friends.
allies very, very
He's running out
quickly.
of allies very quickly. Just a couple of mentions here from Cymru. Say apparently the Russians tried launching an ICBM, intergalactic. What the hell is wrong with me? Intercontinental ballistic missile. It went up, stalled in the tube, came back down, and it blew up. Oh my god!
Doesn't surprise me. I mean,
This is why I'm not concerned. Like everyone's like, oh no, you can't. Don't poke the Russian bear. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's been quite obvious for quite a long time now. If they had the firepower, they would have taken Ukraine in days. They just don't. They just don't have it. Do you know what they have, Ollie? Lots of corruption. That's what they have. Loads of fucking
corruption. Oh, it's incompetent and corrupt out.
Corruption
craziness.
runs through Russia like Blackpool through a stick of rock.
Have we ever talked about what happened to the Moskva?
Was that the one? That was the flagship of the.
Yeah, that was the flagship
of
the Black Sea
Fleet. Yeah,
it was
the Russian Black Sea Fleet.
They're big, like this is our big fleet, and this was like when Ukraine really started hammering their Black Sea Fleet, and taking this out was like a big propaganda coup for them. But one of the things that happened, there was a report about the Moskva leaked, and it got to a point where the captain of the ship, right? This is what's in the report. The captain of the ship had keys to the equipment that you would normally deploy if you were in an emergency situation, if, let's say, your ship was sinking.
Okay.
When that situation happened on the Moskva, not only could the captain not find the keys, but they then had to try and break open the lockers with this equipment in, because He just didn't have the keys because they were on land and he'd forgotten them.
Did the fuck? The fuck? This is why, like, I'm really not scared. Convey is pointing out that Ukraine doesn't need to be stormed like Normandy. Yeah, I just meant like a full frontal assault. But yeah, you're right. At the same thing, I would say they only need to remove the logistics and supply routes and use attrition against the illegal invading occupiers. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
like, they don't need to. I mean, I don't think they could because Russia does have a stronger military on paper. But you know, the way that Ukraine is. Have you noticed how Zelensky is calling it? When he attacks Russia, he's calling it long. What is it? Long range sanctions.
Yeah.
We are deploying some long range sanctions against Russia tonight.
Yeah, though it's also affecting troops in the south along the southern front, in and around sort of the Zaporizhia area of like the Russians. So they're not having a good time either because they can't get access to their supply network and their logistics. So that position, what I think Ukraine, well, again, looking at it from my very armchair general point of view, Ukraine basically wants to make that entire like peninsula just completely untenable, that you just cannot hold like any of this.
Well,
so the Russia will basically left with, well, do we want to try and hold it? If we do, no one, the troops do not have supplies. How long as an unsupplied soldier could you last at that point? Or do we then at that point pull out? And the question is, where do you pull back to? On that front. So I think that's the situation that Ukraine is trying to force Russia into, make that to make one of those two decisions. Either of those are not going to be good for Putin. That will mean a heck of a lot of loss of manpower. Again, if you get to such a point where your own troops are that deprived of supplies, how well are they going to fight? If Ukraine does like pull a major offensive along that front, how well are they going to fight? With no access to supplies or anything like that. And if they do decide, well, we're going to pull back, that makes Putin look incredibly weak for having to make that decision. So either way, that situation alone is just such a bad position for Russia to be in. Regardless of what a decision it makes, it ain't gonna be bad. Well, it's gonna be bad for Putin. The other one is we've seen recently with the with of course all the airstrikes that's been happening in around Moscow on these refineries. They've been taking air defense equipment from Crimea, putting it in Moscow as well. So that's another thing to like.
Okay. Well, before we crack on, Peter Miller, thank you very much for the £20 super chat. That's very kind of you. Sunday night got a bit interesting. Glad it all got sorted. Oh God, did you hear about this, Ollie?
No.
Oh, at the end of the show, I think you know how Wayne can sometimes come in sort of a little bit sort of like full barrels, and he's a bit like "fuck off, you can't," like this, and I don't think Mike was particularly in the mood for it. And after a couple of hours, he was just like, "I'm done with this. Fuck off," and he just like walked off the chat, and it was like, "Oh, this is awkward." And then I had to do the whole, all right, well, tune in tomorrow morning when I'll be back. And poor Scott was sitting there just like cringing himself to death. Going, this is so fucking awkward. And I'm like, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow then. And like took the mic off and went, what the fuck happened there? But yeah, Wayne and Mike have made up now. They had a chat after the show. Made up. I don't think Mike. I don't think that Wayne meant anything by it. He was just being funny, but I can understand why Mike took it the wrong way. And yeah, anyway, so that's all sorted now. So thank you very much for the 20 quid, Peter. That's very kind of you. So I was going to talk again about. I was going to continue my list of people that what's his name, dickhead. Putin doesn't have his side on anymore. Prigozhin doesn't have him on his side because he's dead. Yeah. He doesn't have Orban on his side. He was the poison pill in the middle of the European Union.
Yeah, Orban's gone.
He's gone. They haven't got Armenia anymore. Armenia used to be so far up Russia's arse they could see the future. Now, because of what happened with the Nagorno-Karabakh, which was like an exclave of Armenia in Azerbaijan. They're fucked off with them. Plus, the Azeris are fucked off with them as well. So, and the Georgians have always been fucked off with them because they stole a third of Georgian land in 2008. And what's his name? Ramzan Kadyrov. He's the leader of Chechnya, which is was a breakaway republic of the Soviet Union back in, from Russia, I guess, in the mid-90s, brought to heel by Putin, who was in charge at the time and flattened. This is before he became president, and he flattened Grozny, the capital, and he put his mate in charge, who's a fucking psychopath. And there's been news now for quite a long time that this guy has a serious
he's not been well.
Health problems. His kidneys are failing. I can't believe he's still alive, to be honest with you. I mean, he back in the beginning of the year, I think people were saying he's on his last legs. But however long he lasts, right, there's no clear line of succession. It's going to be an absolute fucking clusterfuck. Is it going to be a family handover to one of his kids? I think his daughter might take over. Can you see people?
I don't think it'll be his daughter. Again, that's societies. Again, it's sort of a very, very male dominated. I don't think they would accept.
They did have Catherine the Great.
His daughter take over. Not in Chechnya.
Putin's not going to be Putin the Great, is it? Is he? He always modelled himself on Peter the Great. He thought one day he'll be great like Peter. I think he's going to be more like Putin the Terrible at his job.
But yeah, if something like bad happens in like Chechnya, what's Putin going to do? He can't send any troops. Like this is something that's going to
trigger. There's about 15 would-be republics in.
There'll be a massive crisis in the Caucasus because I think if one goes, they'll all go.
Yes,
they'll all kick off.
Yeah. The problem is with like Chechnya, it's completely surrounded by Russia, isn't it? So that's going to be difficult. But I don't know. I think I could see if they lose this, I could see. Ukraine's got no interest in taking bits of Russia. They just want their own country back. That's all they want, and they'll stop fighting. But I can see Georgia saying, nice Abkhazia you've got there, nice South Ossetia you've got there. We'll have that back, thank you very much. Since that was Georgian soil.
Well, I am surprised that Georgia hasn't just gone. Should we just have a crack at Russia just to see so we can take it?
What happens? Yeah, but I think
I am surprised no one's.
There is a lot of infiltration of Russian influence. Just like in the Moldova election, and then there was the election in Romania, wasn't there? They had to run again because of all the Russian corruption, the Russian interference. But outcome is saying the second Kadyrov dies, there'll be an uprising in Chechnya, which Sarah says, did you hear Farage's puppet master Harborn has registered to vote in the UK to enable him to keep giving Farage gift bungs? Yep. To get around the rules about foreign donations, he's registered to vote in the UK.
Yeah, doesn't surprise.
Yeah. Fico still lingers on though, and Russia is trying hard to influence Polish politics. That's a bold strategy considering the history of Poland and Russia, not to mention Farage's lot, says the company. How do you register to vote somewhere you don't live? Well, Russ, what you do is, if you're a billionaire, you just buy a house and you make it, you send a statement there and from the bank, and you get you pay someone to turn up and sign some papers on your behalf, a lawyer or something, and then that's what happens.
So you can vote.
Yeah.
You'd think it would be harder, but it's not.
Yes, indeed. Russ says, "Oh, that'll do it." One Pagan says it'll be a bit funny if the Russian Federation split even more than the Soviet Union did after Putin's downfall. Well, it could do. I mean, there are different ethnic groups, there are different linguistic groups, religious groups even. Chechnya is I don't think is it majority Muslim, Chechnya? There are certain areas of Russia which are
I think it's one of those places where it is. That might be again down to Stalin.
Moving people around.
Yeah, Stalin liked to move people around. But yeah, I think it is like majority Muslim.
Yeah. Oh my God, it is
I think it is.
massively overwhelmingly. Well,
Yeah.
it's 95 to 97% Sunni Muslim. Yeah, yeah. Wow. So
Um, but I've said this before. I am if something else kicks off and Russia can't interfere,
mm,
there's going to be like consequences. Like the whole reason Assad fell was because Russia could not interfere. It could not send any of its planes, equipment, or anything like that to Assad. So
yeah,
Assad just ended up falling and failing because he just did not have anything
yeah,
um, to help sort of say that off with. Yeah, Conover brings it up as well. Dagestan as well, another potential area.
yeah,
I think if uh, Chechnya goes, Dagestan will go, but Dagestan has been a powder keg for quite a while, and I'm surprised it hasn't kicked off.
yeah,
Honestly, um, like I say, with some of the stories we've covered about what's been going on in Dagestan for the past couple of years, of where you had like an open blood feud take
yeah,
place. You
yeah.
remember that? That was exciting. But yeah, it's I'm surprised. I am very, very surprised um that no one's thought Russia seems awfully busy. Why don't we just try something? But again, hey, maybe I've maybe I'll be wrong, and who knows? Maybe tomorrow, Kadyrov will die, and it'll all kick off. Who knows? But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on
Yeah.
at the moment in this conflict, and none of it is going Russia's way. Um,
Oh
and it's
dear, how
just quite
sad. Never
frankly,
mind.
yeah, it's just one of those things where we're just gonna go. At what point does either Putin try and like do something to try and save face, or does he, well, have an unfortunate accident with a window, like so many recent Russian oligarchs have had, out of windows. Um,
Yes.
we'll see.
Well, I guess we will. I mean, I'm just looking at the maps here because I think I've fucked up. I'd said that it was completely surrounded by Russia because I thought that South Ossetia, which has been taken by Russia, was on its southern border, but it's not. It actually shares a border with Georgia. It is landlocked though. It's a landlocked country, which makes it quite difficult to you know get around. But then you know that's a big problem, and that's probably why some republics managed to break off from Russia,
Mm.
like Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania, Georgia, Azerbaijan. They've got access to the water. They've got access to the Black Sea or to the Caspian. Whereas, yeah, other countries, well, other republics within the USSR, like Dagestan.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think they're
Chechnya.
right up against like the Caucasus Mountains as well, so it's not exactly an easy border
Yeah,
with that as well.
yeah. So
Uh,
Dagestan's on the Caspian, so you can get to the Caspian, so they can get there. But there's no route, I don't think, from the Caspian to the Black Sea. I think there's a series of canals, but they're not big enough to get a ship through, and it's controlled by Russia. So if you're Iran and you're trying to get something out of Iran through the
mm,
Caspian, you're not going to be able to really take it anywhere. But it's funny that they talk about Uzbekistan being double landlocked, but it's not. It's only single landlocked if you include the Caspian. But yeah, yeah. Anyway, right. There's
speaking of Iran,
go on. Speaking of Iran,
of Iran,
Schrodinger's
here
Strait.
we are back to square one again.
So it's open. It's closed. It's open. It's closed. It's open and closed at the
Uh,
same time. So what's the latest?
there are talks going on in
Doha.
Doha.
Yeah.
Um,
Doha.
US officials are going there to speak with Iranian officials, but Iran has put out that, oh, we're not speaking with Iranian like official with like US officials.
Mm,
We're just speaking with the international mediators. Um, again, who knows with that one, but it's every single time we talk about this, like every single time we do an episode, we do there's a peace deal. Next day, it's closed again. Or they're still at war. Oh, peace deal next week. Oh, the back closed
yeah.
again. Um, yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess of
Biblical
Trump's own.
proportions.
Yeah, it's a mess of Trump's own making. The Republicans are getting to a point now where they're starting to kick off.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you talked about with this with Scott yesterday, but there's a video of it's the U.S. Republicans, and I think it's the um is it the Senate Majority Leader? Like Trump comes out with all these people, does this,
Mitch
who are,
McConnell.
all it's going great. Don't worry, the strait will be open. He and the rest of his team walk this way off camera,
Yeah.
and you'd think that, bear in mind that he's the majority leader of his party in the Senate, doesn't walk with Trump, walks off completely the other way.
It's kind of symbolic.
And there's talks that apparently there was like this meant to be this big meeting that it
Yeah.
got like really heated, and they were arguing and they were shouting at each other.
Nice.
So this I think this might be Trump's Waterloo moment, because if he cannot solve this
Well,
unless
he's had a couple of
he
defeats.
really gives significant concessions to Iran, and
Yeah.
even after apparently giving like significant concessions to Iran, they've gone, I think we can get a bit more out of him.
Yeah. Yeah. But he's had some bad news today from the Supreme Court because they've struck down his attempt to get rid of birthright citizenship, which is enshrined in the Constitution. And now he's saying that he's going to take it to the to Congress to get it. No, it's the Constitution, mate. You need a 2/3 majority in both houses and a 2/3 ratification by all 50 states. You're not going to get that, you fucking lemon. But he's got to start a bill in Congress. He's got to get it through Congress. To stop birthright citizenship, which is in the Constitution. And he's like, no, it was only introduced because of the Civil War. No, it fucking wasn't. It was introduced because there were people coming from all over the world to America and they wanted to be able to vote. They wanted their kids to be American. Anyway, so yeah, Hormuz still fucked. Good. Do you know what? Great. And we were talking about this the other day on the show. We were just saying about how the oil price hasn't gone through the roof. Why didn't it go up to $200 a barrel? Well, because people have just stopped using oil. You know that what was that gang of people who were really annoying who put like orange paint over everything? What are they called?
Just stop oil.
Yeah, good idea, mate. Let's do that. Trump, thank you, Donald Trump. You reckon 800 billion? Yeah, 800 billion barrels fewer. That'd be
I mean, you look at like where most of this oil goes, and it goes mostly to like the Southeast Asia countries. And because of this crisis, they've had massive like electricity shortages and fuel crises. And what they've done, they've gone, all right, we're just going to transition to green energy. China's loving this because, as you mentioned earlier, China's factories are booming. Billions, what are they making? They're making solar panels. They're making wind turbines. They're making hydroelectric motors as well, and all those countries in like the Asia Pacific area, they're all buying it. There was an incredible story this week. I'm trying to remember what it was in. I think it was in the New World. I'm sure someone will say it. Actually, it was wrong. It was in this, but it's all about what's been going on in Pakistan. Yeah, because Pakistan for years have had very, very bad energy infrastructure. Yes. It's not been like 100% stable. So because of this crisis causing now a big problem for Pakistan, they've gone, or at least a lot of people of Pakistan have now gone, right, we're going to buy Chinese solar panels and start
making our own energy,
making our own electricity. Yeah. They've reduced their oil usage by something like almost like 10%, which doesn't sound a lot, but that's quite a big amount to reduce your electricity by, for not using oil. And now there are a lot of people now, again, producing their own electricity because they're getting their own, they've got their own solar panels.
Yeah.
There's a big movement now a big industry to start getting people to buy batteries.
Yeah. Yep. And same thing is going to happen all over the world. Like Delhi have, that they've seen a revolution just in the last few years of the tuk-tuk drivers, the auto rickshaw drivers, moving away from these little 2cc scooters that they used to take people around in to electric, because they can nick electric from people's houses. So people are going out for the day, and then someone's breaking in, plugging into the wall, charging up the fucking scooter, and then before they get home, and they're getting back and getting like a massive electricity bill. Oh, what's going on here? All their batteries are drained if they've got solar panels. But yeah, I mean, it shows the oil magnates, the oil oligarchs, the oil fucking scum. They can do all the propaganda wars they like. They can slow down governments. Governments agreeing around the world to what our levels of CO2 emissions should be. They can fuck that. Do you know what they can't fuck? Capitalism. They can't fuck. People will buy whatever's cheapest and most convenient.
Yeah.
They're not going to buy something that's more expensive and more inconvenient. Why the fuck would you? And the price has just collapsed not collapsed, but the price of solar panels has gone down 90% in the last 15 years. 90%. That's just crazy. So yeah, they were selling solar panels when I was last in Panama. Decent solar panels for $50. It's only about 40 quid for a solar panel, and that'll do you. Do you know what I mean? If you were just like charging up your phone or whatever. I mean, you couldn't run a heater off it or some hair curlers, but you and I don't need the hair curlers, obviously. Yeah. Anyway, there's a reason why I wear this hat. But yeah, Strait of Hormuz. I think that the Iranians are just going to continue doing this. They're going to go, yeah, we'll have peace, yeah, and then
I mean, the other bad thing about this is we don't know like what the political situation is like in Iran, because we don't know if it is incredibly fragmented that you're going to get all these factions back together, because there could be a faction that just goes, right, no, we are just going to go hardline as absolutely possible. We ain't reopening the strait at all. That is a worst case, obviously, scenario, but again, this is Donald Trump's fault. He created this scenario, and rightfully so. Now Republicans are like turning on him. At this point, they're getting increasingly angry. I think that the closer we get to the midterms, the more angry they are going to get, because this is a big problem for them. We've seen stuff go really push for, in particular, the I forgot what it's called now. It's just jumped out of my head. Not only the midterms, but I lost my train of thought now. But really sort of pushing for like the midterms is going to be their big concern. The closer they get to there, the more angry they're going to be. And if they suffer like significant losses, if they lose like their majority and the Democrats gain a majority,
well,
then they're going to be.
Then the Democrats can open, investigations on all of Trump's little friends. Not on Trump, because he's protected by the Supreme Court.
Well, no, even into Trump, I think they will go after him. I don't think they'll do much about not to go after him. To be honest,
I mean, they'll have to get him to sign a document to say, I hereby incarcerate Donald Trump, and he's like, I don't think I'll sign that. We've got some really good messages coming in the chat. Yorash says there's only really is no way out for Putin or the Russian Federation. Everything will go to pieces and blame it on Uncle Putler or Putler. I do wonder who will accept Russian refugees, though. It's not their fault. It was introduced, this is Ernie Burns, it was introduced because there were loads of people who became citizens who had been property and their children needed to have assured citizenship in Reconstruction. I'm talking about American birthright citizenship there. You're saying, pretty sure most of the nuclear era arsenal is useless. Yeah, we've talked about this on this channel many times. It takes a lot of maintenance to keep that stuff going. And America famously spends more on maintaining its nuclear deterrent than Russia spends on its entire military. that tells you everything you need to know. And apparently Russia has more nukes than America. So make the sums add up. Yeah, the nukes don't work, as the Verve once sang. Russia's strength comes from their perception. If the world perceives they are strong, then the world is less likely to attack the Russian bear, which is very true. Right, we've got about 15 minutes left, so we get a few more super chats in. We will get a pow of confetti out for you. Also, at past, we'll be shunting you over to go and see our good friend Maximilian Robespierre. So if you want to have a raid on him and say hi from us, that would be awesome. Just keep watching. So Africa, South Africa.
Let's talk about this South Africa thing.
Riots, essentially, in Tembisa and Benoni and Soweto and Pietermaritzburg. It's all kicking off. Thousands of African foreign nationals have fled ahead of this deadline that was set by protesters for undocumented migrants to leave the country. Foreign-owned homes and shops and property has been vandalized, and I bet the white racists are fucking loving this.
Sorry, I would not be surprised if, like I said, the deadline is today because it's 30th. Again, the unofficial deadline. And bear in mind, this hasn't been like issued by any real authority. We want to stress. This has just been put out very arbitrarily by these groups. There's a lot of, I think, interesting connections apparently to a lot of right wing influences. Apparently that also gain their money from very similar sources. In this, from the American dark money trying to cause trouble with migration in these countries, then they can go, oh yeah, see, look,
yeah,
and then it somehow justifies them doing this over here. So that is something that I think probably needs to be looking into more. But I think there's a couple of people noticing these groups seem to be very closely aligned in some of their sayings and what they've been saying on this. So that'll be something to watch out for. Hopefully, this doesn't kick off. Hopefully, this is just an arbitrary, line that they've put out, and basically nothing happens. Is generally the best case scenario. But if it doesn't, and then you're gonna start to see a lot of problems in some of these countries, purely because of the fact that once you sometimes get civil disorder, it can be very, very hard to put it back in the bottle at that point. So it's unpredictable, shall we say, as to which way this could go. Hopefully this is all just big bluff and bluster on this, and it will just fingers crossed it will happen. But South Africa has got the military on standby. That's how serious they're taking this. For if trouble does start to kick off, so they are taking this very seriously.
I was talking in the chat about dirty bombs and saying probably saying nuclear power is a problem because the byproduct can be weaponized, but it's about enrichment, isn't it? So the enrichment process for a normal power station, a nuclear power station, you're talking about enriching 3 to 5%, and this is enriching was it you 238 to uranium 235, I think it is. But yeah, nuclear bombs are 90% enriched, and this is what the deal was in Iran, wasn't it? They were allowed to enrich it to a certain level.
I think it was 30%. I think for civilian purposes.
But anything more than that, no, because it could be used in a bomb. Because you can't get the chain reaction that you need unless it's enriched to a ridiculous amount. I wonder how many Russian nuclear warheads Iran can swap for a few Shahed drones. Yeah. I mean, Putin at the moment must be the loneliest man in the world, mustn't he? There's been protests in Kenya over reported abductions. This is a businessman was abducted, and there's growing concerns over a kidnapping of critics and protest crackdowns by the Kenyan government. And President William Ruto has acknowledged cases of excessive and extrajudicial action by security forces. Meanwhile, in Sudan, so there's a city in Sudan called Al Obeid, and it's got 500,000 people in it, and it's surrounded by the RSF at the moment, what they call the Rapid Support Forces, who are the militia group that are fighting the government. I mean, they used to work for the government, and then they went rogue, and now they're fighting the government forces. But there's going to be an urgent debate in the Human Rights Council because they're really, really concerned about it. They're talking about siege-like conditions, drone strikes, trapped citizens, restricted humanitarian access. This could be one of the biggest massacres brewing this century since Rwanda, and it's really, really concerning. And then in the DRC, as I mentioned, they don't have enough money to be dealing with the Ebola cases that they're having, because the US has not just pulled out the US aid, they pulled out of the World Health Organization, and this is but they're apparently they're seeking $18 million for urgent Ebola treatment trials, which could change everything if they work. And it's just mad, isn't it, that someone like Elon Musk, who was the world's first trillionaire for a little bit, I don't know if he is again now, but he asked quite facetiously on Twitter when he took it over how much it would cost to solve world hunger. And someone from the UN got back to him and said about $6.5 billion. And he just never responded. That would be nothing to them. So yeah. Over to the Americas, this fucking earthquake in Venezuela.
Venezuela,
a week now.
And this is also insane as well. Because obviously after the yoinkening, so I suppose the best way to describe it of Maduro, American, all their oil that they now produce goes to America,
yeah,
and then America now sells it on their behalf. Because of the earthquake, America is not even giving them even half of the money that they make off selling this oil on their behalf.
Yeah.
So I think that suddenly Venezuela's going to get really annoyed at this deal that they've signed with Trump, and I think they might just go, well, screw it, why not?
Yeah, it's really grim.
If America's that entrenched at the moment with Iran, if we decide, that deal we signed, we find it useless, we're not going to follow it anymore. What's Trump going to do about it at that point?
Yeah. Well, he's too busy fucking around. Well, I mean, he was sniffing around Cuba, wasn't he? Because they want to arrest Fidel Castro's brother. I mean, he's retired from politics. I don't give a fuck. He's 90 odd. He's 95 years old or something. But whatever. They got to go and get him. So the
I think they're hoping for more of that. I think they're hoping to do full regime change.
Yeah.
In Cuba.
Yeah. And they've been starved of oil.
Mm.
There's been no oil coming over
again, Venezuela bought a lot of oil from Venezuela went to Cuba.
Yeah. And Russia.
They're having their own problems as well. And Russia, of course. Yeah.
The shadow fleet, which has been disrupted. But yeah, in Venezuela, the death toll currently stands at 1,750, but there's 43,000 people still missing. And a lot of those deaths would have happened because buildings were not up to code. There's earthquakes in that region. Houses should be built, especially apartment blocks, should be built in a certain way to be able to withstand, earthquakes up to 8 at least, and on the moment magnitude scale. And this was a 7.3, 7.4 shake. It shouldn't have brought down so many buildings, not modern buildings anyway, but they just weren't built to code because of all the corruption, all the massive amounts of corruption. Peru, another fucking right winger has fucking won in Peru. Out of 18 million votes cast, she won by 50,000. So it's a knife edge vote. So Keiko Fujimori, she's won. This is her 4th attempt to become president, and now she's president. Her father was president back in the day. It was praised by supporters for defeating Maoist rebels and hyperinflation, but was later jailed for corruption and crimes against humanity. So now his daughter's taken over, because all these countries that they get a presidential system like America, and then just like America, they get to a certain point where they're like, actually, could we just have a king or a queen? Go on, can we have one of them? And they can just tell us what to do. And if we want to do it, they can, off with their heads. So yeah, Asia, China is, is recovering well from the Strait of Hormuz closing. I think, again, it's something that they've got them. Okay, then. They were expecting, Trump was expecting the whole world to go, oh shit, we've got to get this strait open. And he's typing, like, open the strait, you crazy bastards. And he's imploring other countries, including China, which isn't part of NATO last time I checked, to come and open the strait. And they're like, ew. China installed 315 gigawatts of solar capacity last year. Just fucking crazy.
And again, it's always weird, and because we've just had I think people know we now have a reform council in my hometown, and we've got one, of course, next door.
Yeah.
And in Wakefield, they've just abandoned the climate emergency pledge that they passed in 2019, and one of the things that they've said is, oh well our council is just too small, and it requires an international effort to push forward on this. And it's usually code for, well, China's doing nothing about global warming or moving to net zero. And it's just like, no, as you just said, they are. It's just getting a really worse and worse case to try and say, oh, but what about China? Well, yeah, China keeps on installing solar powers. They keep on installing wind turbines. They keep on they're looking at like looking at like the Yangtze into a big hydroelectric proposition. They've built a load of hydroelectric dams, like started construction over the last couple of years, that are now like starting to come online. They are getting ready to make that transition.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to circle back to talk about New Delhi, capital of India. They're offering more than $1,000 to residents who'll scrap older gas vehicles or petrol vehicles in favor of electric. And this is aimed at reducing the severe air pollution in Delhi, which is killing thousands of people every year. So some of the worst air pollution in the world, because it's the pollution from all these two-stroke engines that are just fucking things up. But also, they're also it's really dusty. It's really hot. It's a heat sink. It's just Also, there was an attempt on the life of a Ukrainian businessman in Monaco. Then you heard about this. It was a parcel bomb. It was a guy called Vadim Yemolayev, and his wife and their 13-year-old child were injured, and his wife remains in a life-threatening condition. And probably Russia behind it, possibly. We don't know. Obviously, we had the heat dome over Europe last week, which led to the deaths of at least 300 people in France alone, and the hottest day ever on record in France was registered last week, and it was hotter than the Sahara Desert. It was over 44 degrees. Absolutely fucking crazy. Spain I've just got to wrap up now because I passed half past. Spain has said that 1 million undocumented migrants and asylum seekers have applied to regularize their status. And the scheme was originally supposed to cover around 500,000, and 1 million people have applied. So they must have lived in Spain for at least 5 months, also sought international protection before the 31st of December 2025. I think this is a sensible move. I mean, just give an amnesty and just say, okay, you can stay. I think. I don't know. We've just had our own, what we're going to be doing with asylum seekers, haven't we, in this country? That came out yesterday. Where, Ollie, we now, after us talking about it on this channel, they've finally listened, and in a couple of years' time, if you're a refugee, you'll be able to be sponsored by a community group, a charity, or by a business to come over here. So you don't have to get in a leaky dinghy and then come over the English Channel. So that's all good. Loads of chat in the chat. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the confetti. We didn't get to fire off the confetti, Ollie. It's the end of the month as well. If anyone gives any super chats tomorrow, I don't get it till September or something. But never mind. Christy says the problem with dirty bombs is you need highly radioactive isotopes. Uranium and plutonium that has not been enriched or used in a nuclear reactor is not that radioactive. Still wouldn't I wouldn't want to pour some on me cereal though. Cumry says India stole the plans for our blast furnaces in Port Talbot and have built them tenfold in India. I don't know. And L is lurking. That's all good. Yeah. Wait, do they want to fight Lebanon? Says Diz. Who? The Israelis want to fight Lebanon. They are fighting. Well, they're not fighting. They're fighting Hezbollah, but that's an excuse, isn't it? To blow shit up.
Well, again, Lebanon has got. Well, Lebanon will say publicly that it's got nothing to do with Hezbollah. And then Hezbollah will say it has nothing to do with the Lebanese government. But
of course, absolutely. So we'll leave it at that. Do you think they're going to have fun at the July the 4th celebrations on Saturday night?
Yes, it'll be an epic failure, probably.
They've only had 250 years to prepare for this, Ollie. Have you seen the footage of the state fair that they've had?
Yeah, it looks awful. It's not very well attended.
Oh my god! Imagine having a party and it just that's how it ended. Mate, I would just cry. So yeah, and if anyone's following the Round Ball Earth Trophy tournament, Norway have beaten Côte d'Ivoire 2-1. So there you go. Oh, I don't think it's over yet. Oh, maybe it's not. Yeah, it is over. It's definitely over. I was going to go, is it over? Has it finished? Yeah, that's it. Full time. Côte d'Ivoire 1, Norway 2. So Norway are through. Germany aren't. The Netherlands aren't. Do you watch a lot of football, Ollie?
No, not interested. Not interested.
What about
Doesn't
cricket?
interest me.
Do you watch cricket?
No,
because Ben Stokes is a guy and he's left the thing. What about tennis? Because Emma Raducanu isn't going to play the tennis. She's definitely not playing the tennis. It was on front cover of all the newspapers to say she won't be playing the tennis.
doesn't interest me either.
What about Princess Catherine doing the 3 Peaks challenge? 3 Peaks in 24 hours?
Okay,
Yeah.
3 Peaks. One of them's in Yorkshire.
Is it Scarfell Pike in Yorkshire?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Is it? Or is it? I can't.
I don't know.
It's one of them.
I know where Snowdon is. I know where Ben Nevis is, but I'm a bit.
Oh, we have our own 3 Peaks challenge. I can't remember.
My geography of England is shite. Anyway, all right, mate. Well, listen, we'll call it a night. If you want to keep watching, you will be magically transported over to our friend Maximilian Robespierre. He'll be talking about what's going down. I think he's talking about the Defence Procurement Act or whatever it's called that's coming in. If you want to give us a like, we'd like a like, so give us a like. And if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this on Catch Up, please subscribe and hit the bell notification icon after that so you know when we're going to go live. I will be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. bright and early. So for the new month, pinching a punch, first of the month, Ollie. So until then, I want to say thank you so much to my wonderful co-host, Ollie Bowlerhatman. I want to say thank you so much for everyone watching and everyone getting in the chat and having a good time and being respectful, which is nice. And until July, I'll say thanks very much for watching. Oh, apparently, Chris comes in. Scarfell Pike's in Lancashire.
Is it? Oh, well, never mind then. Not interested. Not interested.
I'm going home. Oh, shit, I am home. Damn it. So that's another thing that Lancaster's taken from you.
Well, we have our own Yorkshire 3 Peaks challenge, so it's just better because it's in Yorkshire.
Yeah. We'll another thing for Lancashire to take along with the monarchy. Okay, I'm going now. Ollie beats me up. All right, mate. Thank you very much, and thanks for watching. Say hello to Max for us, and until next time, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.